Hello, everybody, and welcome to our very first live podcast of Flow with Flow. So today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. Many of us have had many careers. Some of us have stayed in the same career for most of our lives. So the topic today is, can you have many careers in one lifetime? Personally, I'd say yes, and that's most certainly a little bit of what I've done personally. But we have a very special guest today, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce Cathy Machingaidze. So, who is Cathy? Cathy, besides being our special guest for today, Cathy is also my older sister. Yes, older sister, shared a bed growing up and everything. It was amazing. So Cathy, I just like to say welcome, and we're really looking forward to how you're going to inspire and enlighten us on many careers in one lifetime. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about Cathy before we go into the actual conversation. So who is Cathy? Cathy, amongst other things, is Managing Director of CM Legal Executive Search, as well as partner with the HRW Recruitment Group. And Cathy has over 22 years experience working with varying industries. She has done everything: hospitality, airlines, fast-moving consumer goods, banking, human resources consulting. Her career has exposed her to working for leading multinationals in varying industries and many countries as well. So Cathy has worked in Zimbabwe, Botswana, Zambia, Malawi, South Africa, Angola, and the UK. She has over 16 years experience in talent acquisition across sub-Saharan Africa. Cathy is well positioned for both executive search and contingency recruitment, and she'll tell us all about what contingency recruitment means. She began her career within a human resources firm in Harare, but she's going to tell us a whole lot about the many careers that she's had in between the executive search career. And in her current role, she spends a lot of time ensuring that she secures opportunities for executives in various roles. Chief Executive Officer, she recruits for Chief Risk Officer, Financial Director, legal eagles in town, all the general counsels. And so if anybody's looking for Cathy, you know where to find her. And she has had much experience in the current role that she has. So that's a little bit about the formal side of Cathy. And at this point, I would just like to say welcome, Cathy, and welcome to Flow with Flow. It's an absolute privilege to have you on the show today.
Thank you very much, Flo. I am really excited. I feel very honored, and I hope that I'm looking forward to sharing my life.
Yes, I'm looking forward, and I'm sure the viewers are also looking forward to hearing all about your life. So tell us, Cathy. The first question I have for you is: we've said a lot about your professional career. Mm-hmm. Who is Cathy? What else don't we know? Are you a mom? What are your hobbies? Who's Cathy?
I am a mom. I'm an adult mom, as I've been termed. My son Takuzwa is 26. He's an amazing young man, very musically gifted young man, very much in the arty world. And so he's the person behind my push. Whatever happens in life, I will never give up, because I've always had him there, as I need to be able to be the best person for him. And to be a great example, but also to be able to look after him well.
Lovely.
So that's my reason for being, I suppose, in a way. And what I enjoy doing, apart from work, I must admit, I am a workaholic. So I have been actively working away from that. So I'm taking up golf. Ooh. After many years. So I should be starting my first lessons soon. And but I also enjoy exercise. I enjoy walking, running, the outdoors. I enjoy music. I enjoy cooking. So I really love catering and entertaining people and feeding people. I'm a nurturer and a feeder. So that's really, I love spending time with family and friends and making great connections.
Lovely. And yes, I can agree with the food. I love to eat your food. So thank you for that. Okay, so let's jump into your journey.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm curious about is when you were a child, you know, we all have things we want to be. What did you want to be growing up? What was your list?
Okay, I had a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a lawyer as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a musician. I thoroughly love music and
Mm-hmm.
dance. I thought I could go that route as well. So I oscillated between the formal, what's expected of me, and what I would really love to do. So yeah, it was a bit of a diverse what I want to be when I grow up type of lists as when I was a kid.
All the way from doctor to musician. That's awesome. And would you say you had any defining moments in your childhood that maybe shaped, or maybe your teenage years, that shaped the direction you then eventually took?
I think for me, it was, first of all, we grew up in a very academic household.
Mm-hmm.
So there was always that push of, do well, great academics, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And but when I look at my career or how I started out from high school,
Mm-hmm.
and then one defining moment was when I got a scholarship to go to Australia, and I did the last 2 years of my high school there. Completely new environment by myself. I don't know how my parents sent me halfway across the world by myself, but I'm grateful to this day. And but what I found when I came back was I did the sciences when I was in school, so maths, physics, and chemistry for A-level, which I thoroughly enjoyed. But then it really wasn't in line with me wanting to be a lawyer or me wanting to do medicine, because, I mean, medicine, yes, that was one thing, but I really wanted to do, I actually ended up wanting to do a Bachelor of Business Science with computers. But when I applied to the university, I didn't get in for that one. My second choice was pharmacy. And pharmacy also took quite a small class, so if you didn't put them as first choice, chances of getting in are very slim. So I landed up with a BSc in maths, stats, and computers. Could I do it? Yes. Did I want to do it? No. I started it, but I absolutely detested it.
That's very profound. Could you do it? Yes. Did you want to do it? No. So you were stuck with something you could do, but didn't necessarily want to do.
Because I felt driven in that direction, because this is what would make, in my world, this is what would make my parents happy.
It was the societal family expectations,
exactly,
which many of us actually do look at when we make career choices. So what did you then decide to do? How did you move on from the choice you made to the next step that you took?
Okay. So I actually decided to leave the university at that point. I think in my ignorance, I didn't realize I could have actually changed my degree programs and all, but I just was so unhappy. I actually left and decided to pursue a hospitality career. So I actually went to the hotel school, did a 4-year program there, which was absolutely amazing. I thoroughly loved it. And that is what opened up my journey into the hospitality industry. Wow. So it was in a different city altogether. I just decided, I advised my parents, and that's what I decided I wanted to do.
Okay. So from hospitality, you went into working in hotels?
Okay. I worked my first job after I graduated. I worked in hotels, I think, for about 2 years. At the Midlands Hotel, at the Meekos Hotel in Harare then. And then from there, but one thing I thoroughly enjoyed it, but one thing I didn't like was that it kept me away from my family, kept me away from my son. As a hotelier, every public holiday, you're working pretty much because people are coming through to the hotel. So I found the only way around it would be us having, maybe, say if it was Christmas, I'm working on Christmas Day. So my family would then come through to the hotel I was working at for Christmas lunch. And that was the way I got to spend Christmas with my family.
I remember we used to come for Christmas lunch. We loved the Christmas lunch.
Exactly. Yes. So it was really, I just found that I didn't spend enough time with my family, but especially with my son.
Okay.
And it was a punishing career from a time perspective, as much as I really enjoyed it.
So I'm curious, when you're working with lots of chefs and you're working with all those people in the hotel industry and trade, what would you say was your most amusing or interesting part of working in hospitality?
Wow. Okay. I have many stories. But
just the one is fine.
The one, I mean, it was always around. The one thing I found really amusing was when I worked with the older chefs, like the old madalas.
Yes.
And you're looking at a menu, and just the pronunciations of certain things was just the funniest.
Give us
But
one.
you would know. So, say if you think of the word hors d'oeuvres. So, we needed a platter of mixed hors d'oeuvres. And I was asked to go and pick it up from the kitchen. And I go to the chef. I'm like, please can I get the platter of mixed hors d'oeuvres? And the chef looks at me blankly, and he was an old man. And he was like, what? I was like, the mixed hors d'oeuvres. He's like, oh, mixed hors d'oeuvre. I was like, right, that's. Yes, please. So it was really amusing. It was really cute. But yeah, there are lots of stories.
It was the people. It was the people that brought
it was
everything
definitely
to life.
The people, yes.
Lovely. And then how did you move away then from hospitality into... tell us what your next career was.
So from hospitality, from the hotel industry, I actually had a fortuitous encounter where, while I was a sales executive at the Meikles Hotel, one of my accounts was British Airways. And they had offices literally around the corner from us. And one day I got a call from the CEO, Patrick Raftery, and he asked me to come through to see him at his office. I went across. He hands me a brochure, which has the Y2K program. And I looked at it, and he asked, do you want to do this? And I looked at him blank. I was like, I don't know anything about it, Patrick. And he says, guess what? Neither does anybody else. That is all I never forgot him saying that, because that just, it said so much, because then I realized, okay, I can do this. This man obviously sees something in me. And I remember phoning you and telling you about it, because he says, okay, tell me at 3 o'clock, after 3, whether or not you want to do this. And I remember phoning you, and I was like, what do I do? This sounds great, but I don't know. I have no idea what this is about. And you were like, it's an amazing opportunity, go for it. So I phoned Patrick, and I was like, okay, let's go. And that was the sum total of that interview at British Airways, and I got the job. So I started with British Airways, and it was an amazing experience in that we were leading the Y2K program within the Southern African region, and we had a very big voice within the market. So looking after Zambia, Zim, Malawi, Angola, Botswana. I came to South Africa a lot. We went up to the UK every 6 weeks or so. But it was just the fact that I had a voice, as I kept saying, little old me. I was 28 or something, and the industry was listening to me because I was coming from BA, and we had the respect of the industry, which was really, for me, it made me believe in myself so much. So from there, I just realized there's nothing that if I set my mind to, I can't do. Doesn't matter how different it is from what I thought my life would be. So
that's very profound. There's nothing that you can't do if you set your mind to it. It's mindset. And it sounds like you had an amazing boss.
Patrick was amazing. He was beyond amazing. We're still in touch to this day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. And I do remember the one. I always love to find the humor in each of your careers. So I remember you telling me about the plane that was landing from, I believe you're coming from Angola, and you said as you landed, everybody would get up and start clapping.
People just clapped. I was just like, what is this? But it was very cute, very quaint, and it was a different country, different space.
Wow.
And it's not anything I'd been exposed to before, so it was actually quite hilarious.
So you went from airlines, and then how did you leave airline? How did you land up in your next career, or what was your next career? Maybe let me ask that question.
So from the airline industry, I left the airline industry, I think, only because BA was pulling out of Zim, and that was because, as a result of the situation in Zim at that point, I think political and economic. And I was not in the space to be able to move to another country. I did not want to be away from my son. So I was actually headhunted by an agency. That was my first exposure to agencies, and they had this role at Avery Burkle. Avery Burkle are in, I suppose, weight measurement. So from providing scales that you use in the labs to measure micrograms or whatever, we also used to provide, say, load cells for weigh bridges. So it was I worked for them. I got the job as a marketing coordinator for them, and it was just a very different industry, because now I'm working with the guys from the workshops and also running the marketing initiatives that we're rolling out. I found that incredibly interesting. Also doing golf days, I had to learn about all that. But I also credit the boss that I had then, the CEO, Mr. Chkwada, and he was someone who would hand over the reins to me and just ask me to run with things. If I wasn't sure, I would ask him things, but otherwise he literally was like, "This is your baby, run with it."
Awesome. And from the scales, where did you go next?
I was actually, this thing about the bosses calling me, I actually got a call from the CEO of the Metropolitan Bank. He was looking for a marketing manager for the bank, and he actually said he had been referred to me by someone. Would I be interested in a conversation? So we started. I went to see him. We had a conversation, and I was hired. So for me, it was the appeal of working within the banking industry. And 2 months into my job, I was actually sent off to Malaysia. We were opening up an expo center because we're looking at the whole trade and expo, and looking at the expo market and trade between Zimbabwe and Malaysia. And then I was asked to go to Malaysia.
Wow. Sounds like you used to say yes a lot.
Yes, I was like, why not? I didn't know what to expect, but he obviously thought that I could do it. And we literally had to run to just opening an expo center that is still there. But it was just a very different experience.
Wow.
I was advised that I'd be leaving on a flight 2-3 days later. And that was that. That was my sum total. I thought I'd be there for 3 weeks. I ended up being there for 2.5 months.
That's amazing. So that was banking.
That was in banking, yes.
And then what happened after the banking?
So after banking...
so I'm still on a count here. We're on...
After banking...
number 4, 5.
After banking, I actually... And I think the next move, it was really more from conversation. A conversation can do a lot. So conversations that I had with Richard Makoni, now he's late. May his soul rest in peace. He was also an amazing boss. We used to chat. He had an HR consulting firm. There were 3 main divisions within the consulting house. We had the reward management side of the business, the strategy side of the business, as well as the recruitment division. So Richard asked if I wanted to come on board to join him because what he liked was my hospitality background, because he wanted to build a conference center out in the Eastern Highlands where he had a lodge where a lot of companies would go for strategy sessions.
Yes.
So he actually wanted to build a conference center. So he liked my hospitality background. So he was effective. He brought me on board to work with his architect for us to have this conference center designed. But when I started with him, he then asked me to assist him more and more with executive recruitment. He was like, "Look, could you give me a hand here? This is what this is all about." And I took to it like a duck to water. I didn't know much about it when I started, but he took me through it. And from there, he was then giving me assignments to run on my own. And then he had a great expansion plan. He set up an office in Uganda. And so his time in Zim was limited. So he then asked if I wanted to run the recruitment business or the recruitment division. And I said yes.
And there you went.
And that was it. I started recruitment then. And that was in, I think, 2003. So that was my journey into recruitment. And I've been in that industry ever since. I started off in Harare, and then I was headhunted by a recruitment agency here in South Africa. Moved across. It just literally also they came through, interviewed, offered the job. I didn't really ask much in terms of, I didn't think about it too much.
Yes.
Then I left the country. It was a great opportunity. It was difficult to leave my son, but I'm fortunate in that my parents are there still, and they were very close to him. So at least I knew he was in good hands until he could move here with me. So that's how I started out. I joined the South African recruitment market as within the agency environment here.
So you went from agency environment, and did you move into any other type of environment within recruitment?
Well, so far, okay. So initially it was agency. So I did agency for the bulk of my career here, and then I always wanted what it would be like to work in-house. And I got an opportunity with Standard Bank to join their talent team or the resourcing team. And when I started out in agency, I started specializing in 2007 in legal recruitment. So I effectively recruiting lawyers and company secretaries. And so that was my journey into legal from 2007. So when I joined Standard Bank, it was to run their resourcing for their legal teams, and also group internal audit. But legal is my passion, is my baby. I love it. And then I was there for 2 years. It was a really great experience. It helped me to understand my stakeholders better. It helped me to understand the processes behind the scenes, why a process might take a lot longer. If you're in an agency environment, you may not understand why certain things are taking so long. But being in the bank, I could see exactly how the wheels turn. And then, so I really loved my time at Standard Bank. But then I realized that, so what I thought I wanted, I realized was not really what I wanted. I thought I wanted in-house, and I realized in-house felt like I was a caged lion that's got its food brought to it. I wanted to hunt. I'm a hunter. And that is what really, really pushes me forward. And I realized I actually miss being in an agency. So I left Standard Bank, joined a search firm. COVID hit. We didn't see it coming. They restructured. And I decided, okay, I didn't want any of the roles they had available. And I decided, look, I've always wanted to run my own agency. Now's as good a time as any to start. Some people thought I was a complete idiot starting an agency, and then the pandemic hit. They were like, why don't you go in somewhere where it's safe? But I was like, right now, nowhere's safe. And we found that out, when a lot of companies restructured and people let go. But I needed to feed this monster inside me that wanted to run its own thing. Because even in my other careers, I had side gigs all the time. So
I'm going to stop you right there. So speaking of side gigs,
yes,
tell us what side gigs in between your career, your formal career, what side gigs did you do?
Okay. They were actually, they're all in sales, really. And from Tupperware, I started off with Tupperware. I'd do that after work. But one of the most interesting ones that my family was mortified by was me selling funeral lots. There was a cemetery that opened up.
It's very delicate, that word, funeral lots.
Yes.
If funeral lots.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's real
otherwise
estate.
known as
graves. My brother was mortified. He was like, you're selling graves? But for me, it was a sales job. I just said, look, I'm selling this piece of land. What you do with it is really not my problem. And I made very good money out of that. I was putting my child through school. So it was amazing. But it was just, it is what it is. It's a need that had to be met.
Absolutely. We all have to go somewhere.
Nothing is
when
more
we
certain.
Leave this earth.
Only certain things are death and taxes.
That is correct.
So
absolutely. I love that one because I remember when you told me about these funeral lots, and I went, you're selling funeral lots? She says, yes. And I thought, okay, I suppose we all have to go somewhere.
Yes.
And why not?
Exactly.
So I love the adventurous side of some of your side hustles. Yeah. Is there any other side hustle we've missed here? Because people out there would like to know what are some of the things I could be doing? We've got Tupperware, we've got funeral lots.
Well, what I also used to do was, I suppose it was linked to my job though. It was a lot of training around grooming and deportment for corporates. And it was great because it was companies that had never had their staff taken through that.
Yes.
And what we'd consider basics, a lot of people maybe have never had exposure to. So I really enjoyed that element of it as well.
Grooming and deportment.
So I even had a business plan for a deportment academy, a grooming and deportment academy.
We may just hold you to that, yes.
I think that's still on the cards.
Maybe next time as a guest you can come and talk to us about grooming and deportment, so we understand what grooming and deportment actually is and what it means and how important it is.
Exactly.
No, very true. And I think at this point I would like to understand just one more thing. So if you look at your journey up to where you are now, what are one or two nuggets? What do you see as life lessons that you've learned from the choices you've made?
Yes.
You are now over 22 years in working. What message would you like to leave out there for everyone?
Okay. What I would say is no matter what life gives you, or I always say, play the hand that you're dealt. So we may have our plans nicely laid out, and you will get a curveball that you did not see coming. And you have two options. Do you sit and cry in the corner and insist you want to still do what you were doing? Or do you make lemonade out of this lemon?
Yes.
And for me, it's always been about the lemonade. Have I always felt that my decisions were great and were right? Not always. But what I always did, and this is one thing I'll credit our mother for, is she always says, whatever happens, look for the silver lining. So when I found myself in a difficult position, or where I felt that maybe this wasn't a great career decision, I always thought, how can I spin this, or how can I work with this to make it positive? And then when I found what I really loved, which I happened into recruitment. Recruitment speaks to my love for people. I love working with people. I love helping people. And I love helping people to direct their career so that in a way they don't make the mistakes that maybe I felt I made in some cases. And when I see people making those mistakes, I like the fact that I can actually point them out before they've made the mistake, because maybe they don't know any better. Absolutely. So I feel maybe in my career, I didn't have enough people to guide me, or even enough people for me to ask. And I just blundered along. That's what I felt sometimes, but I found that when you're dealt a certain hand, just look at it, step back, and ask yourself, how can I make the most of this?
Yeah, it's
and
powerful.
Maybe let me not be so stuck in one way. Maybe this is the door to the next opportunity, or to the next career path for myself, which is what I found with the recruitment industry, where when I started, I didn't see myself having a 15, 20-year career in it. But that is all I want to do now. And then I will do other things that are linked to it. But I will always be a recruiter at heart. And I absolutely loved it. I love it. It speaks to me as a person, and it speaks to my love for assisting people.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I picked out a few little nuggets from everything that you were saying, and you might not remember some of these. And you said, don't be afraid to move. Don't be afraid to go forward, and you also said, always say yes, like Richard Branson says, say yes, and then figure out how to do it.
You will figure it out.
And
you will find someone who can help you if you just speak up, because you'll find someone who's done it before.
Yes.
Who can also help you.
And you spoke about something you spoke to right through your talk was reusing your skills. Yes. So in the different industries you were in the different companies, you still made use of the skills you'd learned in a different part of your life and your career. And I found the same with mine. I have reused skills in completely different industries, and that's something that's really important for everyone. Your skill set can be reused. It can be repackaged, and it's very important to remember that. And the other thing you said that I loved was a conversation can do a lot. So a lot of the jobs that you go through conversations, and building relationships is really, really important. And I really, really liked that about your message and about what you have to leave for everybody. And maybe as we are wrapping up, what I'd like to understand is, so you are an executive recruiter, you're also a career coach. We didn't even talk about your career coaching. Where do people find you if they'd like to get hold of you? Would like to have a chat with you? Where do they find you?
They can look me up on LinkedIn, just under Cathy Machingaidze.
Yes. Yes, right. I looked you up the other day. You have Cathy Machingaidze, and it says executive recruiter coach. Yes. So you can't get lost, everyone. You know exactly where to find Cathy. And Cathy, I would just like to say thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a fabulous conversation. I've really enjoyed it. And from me, it's a wrap, everybody. And I would just like to say thank you for being with us today. And just remember, till next time, till the next episode, just keep it flowing like a river. That's life. Keep it flowing and take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.